Hey guys, Travis here on the 10th week of the LCS Day 1 with Dyrus. After a couple wins, congratulations, Dyrus. What happened in those games that allowed you to win?
I got first game. I'm sorry. I got first blood both games, and our team just played it out well. The first game against Marn, they were in the driver's seat. They could have definitely won it if they played their cards right. So we kind of got lucky there, and Reggie kind of carried that game along with me, and it just turned out well for the first game. Then for the second game, I got first blood again. We got the picks that we wanted, and we were winning top and bot. So if we're winning top and bot, then we are pretty much guaranteed to win because Reggie always either farms or goes positive usually on Karthus.
Well, I know that in that hype video for this week, you said in the Riot interview that you guys were going to beat everyone and get second place, and you seem very confident. So I know you just won two games, so maybe this is an obvious answer, but are you still thinking you're going to be able to get all five games and maintain the second place?
Honestly, when I came into this week before the two wins, I was really scared, and I didn't realize how much confidence that I displayed until like I read the comments and looked at. It. I'm like, oh, like last week I was very confident because we played against Curse pretty well. I don't quite remember the game that much, but I know we did well. The game was pretty much over at 15 minutes. I mean, when we thought it was, and then it was. But uh, sorry, I'm stuttering today.
It's fine. It's fine.
um, Coming into this after these two wins, I'm sort of confident, but not as much as when we beat Curse. Although I did get first blood both games, and I did very well both games. The last game was I got 6-6 on Renekton. I actually died for the team a lot, but I did get caught. And then for the Jace game, I went 5-0, and I was just constantly poking. And even though I kind of fell behind on farm, I had kills. And I hit probably 80% of my pokes, and it was pretty good. It felt really good.
So now you've gotten voted in as the NA All Star for the top lane. So how do you feel about getting to become the winner for that, and then also getting to go over to Shanghai soon and represent North America as the top laner?
At first, I wasn't even trying for it, and I knew Voyboy was ahead, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let the fans pick. And then my dad went on a voting campaign. He's like, vote for Dyrus, or I'll kill you, or something like that on Twitter. But so I was like, all right, I gotta, help my dad out, help me out, and a lot of people on Reddit and a lot of the pros voted me, and that gave a lot of help, a lot more than people may think. Because if everyone said Voyboy, I probably wouldn't be up to 10% that I am. Same thing for how everyone preferred Saint, how everyone preferred. Well, between Scar and Reggie, that gap is just too huge from the popularity. It's it's kind of an honor to play for America again because they just chose me, and I've been around. It means that I've been doing my job correctly. I've been doing something right for the last 2 years, and what I'm gonna bring to the team is just a solid top lane, and we're just gonna do our best. And what we'll bring back from it is if we win or lose, we'll bring back experience to our team, and we'll bring back strategies, and we'll get better as an NA scene as a whole. As long as we don't get stomped too hard.
Hopefully not. You mentioned that all these pros and community people tended to vote for you, and you sort of beat out Voyboy amongst the like pro player vote. Did you expect that? Did you think that that was sort of the attitude for you there, or was it kind of surprising to see everybody voting for you amongst the pro players and such?
For me, I'd probably have a more loyal fan base, but with the recent Voyboy stream, he's been very informational, educational.
Right.
He's been doing a very, very good job streaming, and he's kind of like the standard of how all streamers should be. But for me, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't do that. But he has a very big following from that, and a lot of new players that come into the game who don't know about all the pro players.
Right.
They don't know the future and past, but um, hears Voyboy on the front page with 40K viewers and is like, "Oh, this guy's very helpful. I like this guy. He's nice. See ya, nerds," and all that. And from all this, I'm like, I have the solo mid fan base, but at the same time, he has the monopoly on Twitch right now. Of course, when the monopoly on Twitch is whoever streams and get the most. It's usually pretty close.
But what about the pro players? Because like you said a lot of the pros said that people should vote for you. So did you expect to have the pro players say that people should vote for you?
No, I didn't expect anything at all. Um, the reason why I didn't expect anything from the pro players is because they know I've been pretty bad back then. I've gotten better, and I guess now that maybe they already knew or they're realizing that I'm a safe player. I don't always go balls deep because when I do and I lose the game, like when I go balls deep, I go ham. And Voyboy plays the very team fight situational chance where the team is a four-man comp and he either cleans up or sometimes he'll play Renekton, and he has a very, very strong champion pool that's very annoying to deal with. But for me, I play a lot of standard backbone, solid top laners that usually fit on with like making a comp around someone else. And the only champions that I have that isn't like that is probably like Jace because I'm not going to tank. I'm just going to poke, let my team do all the work. And um, I think it was just mainly because of that because they can probably leave me alone top and I'll probably still be okay.
So you don't need the support of a jungler. Start talking about how you said you felt like you've grown a lot. I know you guys don't actually watch Game Crib, but obviously you're in it. So, there was a discussion around what Reggie said on this week's episode about you underperforming recently in the LCS, and then likewise, you seem to get very frustrated on the show and really angry about that even. So. I guess a couple questions about that, but the first one is: do you feel like you have been underperforming recently in the LCS? Do you think that's a fair statement?
Yes, that is a fair statement. If you compare my performance for the last 3 days compared to, or last 3 weeks compared to at the start up to at least week 5, I've been playing really solidly with Renekton Malphite, not so much with Rumble. It is a true statement. But what I'm mad about was not he's saying I'm underperforming. I accept that. It's when our communication is bad and no one's doing anything about it. The cameras are actually off during the time, but there's a game where I was playing Vlad top and he was coming out of base and there's a huge creep wave top and the enemy team's doing Baron and I needed to heal off that creep wave before going back and he just takes the creeps instead of letting me farm it and I just went off. This was the day after I did my confessional where I like punched my fist really hard because I was really mad over something so trivial like taking out the trash. When someone calls me lazy when I'm not and I have reasoning behind it, it really pisses me off. And I go and look back at that and I admit it, I accept it, but I hate being bashed over and over for it. When I've accepted something and, maybe like once or twice you mention it to me, like, I didn't do well at Worlds. Like after a while, when it comes back to me, it's negative. And I get really, really mad. And it's like, well, I might as well just quit the team already. And I've had those thoughts a lot, but I think we're in a very good direction. Moving on to the argument. So when this happened, we still won the scrim, but there was lots of miscommunication. Like everyone on the team didn't hear. Wild Turtle said go to Baron, and the rest of us were back. We were gonna back, but then he's like, "Oh, can we do Baron?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." And Reggie's like, "No, go back," and no one heard him. And my solution to this was lower down my game volume, which helped a great deal because I don't tunnel vision as much because I'm not hearing the in game. I'm not being entertained by in game or being super nervous. I'm hearing the voice of my teammates, which also makes me more vocal. Um, so I got really pissed off, and he was like, you should have went back. And I literally just like slammed the table like as hard as I hit my fist, both. And my hands still hurt from it. And it's only been like a week or two ago. But I slammed it 3 times and I was yelling at the top of my lungs. And For a person like me to yell at the top of my lungs, unless it's like in karate or basketball or something, it's a very, very scary thing. But he kept his composure. And surprisingly, I was very, very, I wasn't like raging mad to the point where I'm blinded by rage,
Right.
but I was raging mad where I'm trying to make a point and he's being stubborn about something and adapting to a situation. And I tell him it's true. If we heard your call, we wouldn't be having this argument in the first place. And I'm like, but since it did happen, you should have let me heal off the creeps. You don't lose anything from that other than gold, and I get back to full HP. And he's like, well, if you listen to the call in the first place, and I'm like, no. I'm like, F that. Like, fucking screaming at him. Like, I don't tolerate that. It's like I understand this, but understand this if this is a real situation and for whatever reason, if we all tunnel vision, which has happened like hundreds of times in competitive play, if we tunnel vision, are you just going to take the creeps and not like let the person heal since it already happened and be like okay, we just lose then because you didn't go back instead of being like, "Oh, we have a chance. I'm going to heal off of it." And that was my argument. And like I agreed with him. It's not a lot of our arguments we usually agree with each other, but there's lots of misunderstandings, and I feel like that helped our communication a lot in the curse match. So I slammed the table at least two or three more times. Later on, I was actually scared that the computers might fall off because of how hard I hit the table. Um, and then I'm turning to, okay, all right, we understand this. So why is no one else say anything? And Wild Turtle's like, oh, my bad. And I'm like, Wild Turtle, it's great that you want to make these calls, and he's very adventurous. Like the first time we played together, he was like push mid, and it was a new opening. It's like, wow, push mid. We've never done this before when we first had him. It's like we can actually push mid. We usually go back to farming, going back, and it becomes more aggressive because he's super aggressive. He plays like he doesn't give a shit because he was a sub at the time, and it was a fresh breath of air to the team. And I'm like, it's great that you're adventurous, but we got to let Reggie make the shot calls at late game. Or if you do, we all have to be on the same page because we were all backing. Right. He needs to recognize, oh, we're all backing. Reggie made the call that, you don't make those calls. And, sometimes he does make good calls. But when it comes to late game, we've decided to listen to Reggie. And relating to that, our first game against Marn, we didn't look happy at our win because three of us weren't listening to Reggie, and I was in the middle of him, and it's it's still a minor like problem that can be a big problem that can lose us the game, and hopefully that's like fixed like really soon. And that argument that I did with Reggie made it fixed like a lot more. It sped up the progress of it being fixed. Definitely, because now during scrims I just take off my headset or I lower the volume, and when I hear things and people aren't hearing, I'm like, listen to Reggie's calls. And moving on from Wild Turtle and me and Reggie, then there's Odd One usually doesn't say anything because he usually listens to like whoever like says something, but Odd One usually doesn't say anything because he usually like, okay, he just realizes that he's wrong, or I did this because Wild Turtle did this. And if we had no communication problems in the first place, Odd One would be always on the same page. And maybe he gets caught out once in a while, but we all do. Then when it comes to special, I don't know. I don't know if they weren't really scared, but they're like, okay, we're just gonna let them two argue. And our problem is we don't all get into it. So as I was arguing with Reggie, I was like, what does everyone else think about this? Did anyone hear his call? And when I say no, then that's when I'm like, I slammed the table. I'm like, this is a problem. Yeah. We've been together on a team like besides Wild Turtle for like almost 2 years now, and we still have this problem. And then that's when I stopped slamming the table because then I kind of calmed down. But you can't have that. We're a professional team. We play League of Legends. Like, we may troll, have our fun at times, but it's our job. And like when I joined the team, now that I'm the second newest member of the team, I usually let Chaos and Reggie figure it out. But now it's like, you know, Chaos isn't here anymore to like, there's no two people to argue with other than me, Special, and Reggie, and Autumn usually just listens along. So I was really pissed the day before when I hit my fist, and the next day it just carried on, and I had so much stress because I know I was underperforming, and when he brings those points back, it just it just all builds up, and
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you because I know like you guys have like the community now has this unprecedented access to each of the teams, right? And I know just from being around teams that this is a very common thing that teams will have this internal sort of, where how do we deal with these? How do we solve these problems? And it's kind of stressful. So I guess sort of wrapping up the interview, like what do you what do you perceive is going to happen with TSM? Like, how do you guys work around this? Is it just a matter of arguing sometimes and it gets better? Do you think that you guys are solving the issues? You mentioned that you thought like arguing with Reggie, like as volatile as that is, it's sort of it's helpful. So do you think that you guys are on the right track, and do you guys think that you're making progress and fixing the issues?
all right, well, here's the deal with that. Before we were on the right track, I feel like we're on the right track right now, although there's little bumps. When we lost to Vulcan, that was when we were like on the wrong track. But after that argument, I feel, and we beat Curse, there's been an enlightenment. We all like we don't tunnel vision as much as we used to, and I make it a priority late game. I give up some of my concentration on other things to concentrate on communication. And when I hear something wrong, or, I'll be like, I don't feel good about this. I think we should do this. Before I would be like, I don't feel good about this, and I wouldn't say anything. I'd take 5 seconds to stand around, like, even if I'm not farming, to think about what we should do. Even though I'm not the shot caller, I suggest things, and Reggie suggests things, even though he's a shot caller. And we decide on it very quickly, and even if we sit around for 5 seconds and we can get it done. And then as we go on right now, this track that we're on that you had just asked, we're on a better track. We're on the right track. I think we're getting better at it. It's going to come down to the point where it's like like split second decisions, and it'll be a while before we get there, but I think we're getting there.
All right, Dyrus, sort of wrapping up the interview. You have any shout outs or plugs you want to make?
I'd like to give a shout out to a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, Gunner, Astro, Ventrilo, Asus, Corsair, Kingston HyperX, and Origin PC. Thank you.
Well, congratulations on the wins today. Thank you so much for the insight. Really good to hear sort of what's going on. I know that Game Cribs only captures some of it, so it's very good to hear the rest of it. For everyone, this is Travis on week 10 of the LCS. You can check out the rest of our coverage at gamespot.com/LCS.